Welcome to Vedanta Bhakti Pravachanam channel. In this channel, we are looking into Sai Satcharitra. Up to 25th chapter, we have seen so many things and learnt about Sai Baba through Hemad Pant. Now, in this chapter number 26, actually what Hemad Pant is telling, that let us see. All the things that we see in the universe are nothing but a play of Maya, the creative power of the Lord. These things do not really exist. What really exists is the absolute. Just as we mistake a rope or a garland for a serpent, on account of darkness, we always see the phenomena, things as they outwardly appear and not the mnemonic which underlies all the visible things. It is only the Sadguru who opens the eyes of our understanding and enables us to see things in their true light and not as they appear. Let us therefore worship the Sadguru and pray to him to give us the true vision, which is nothing but God vision. Hemad Pant has given was a noble form of worship. Let us, he says, use water in the form of tears of joy to wash the Sadguru's feet. Let us besmear his body with all sandal paste of pure love. Let us cover his body with the cloth of true faith. Let us offer 8 lotus in the form of our 8 sattvic emotions and fruit in the form of our concentrated mind. Let us apply to his head the bukka in the form of devotion and tie the waistband of bhakti and place our head at his feet. After decorating the Sadguru with all ornamentation this way, let us offer ourselves to him and wave chamar of devotion, the word of heat. After such bliss worship, let us pray thus: turn our mind inward, give us discrimination between the unreal and the real, and non-attachment for all worldly things, and thus enable us to get self-realization. We surrender ourselves, body and soul, to you. Make our eyes yours, so that we should never feel pressure and pain. Control our body and mind as you wish. Let our mind rest at your feet. Now, let us turn to the stories of this chapter. Bhakta Pant. Once it so happened that a devotee named Pant, a disciple of another Guru, had the good fortune of visiting Shirdi. He had no mind to go to Shirdi, but man proposes one way and God disposes the other. He was travelling in a BB and CI railway train where he met many friends bound for Shirdi. They all asked him to accompany them and he could not say no. They alighted at Mumbai while Pant got down at Virar. There he took the permission of his Guru of Shirdi trip and after arranging for the expenses, left with the party of Shirdi. They all reached their place in the morning and went to the masjid at about 11 a.m. On seeing the concourse of the devotees assembled for Baba's worship, they were all pleased but suddenly got a fit and fell senseless. They were all frightened. Still they tried their best to revive his senses. With Baba's grace, after sprinkling water over his head, he regained his consciousness and sat upright as if he was just awakened from sleep. The omniscient Baba, knowing that he was a disciple of another Guru, assured him and confirmed his faith in his own Guru by addressing him as follows: come what may, leave not, but stick to your own blossom, and ever remain steady with him. Pant at once knew the significance of this remark, and thus he was reminded of his Guru, the kindness of Baba he never forgot in his life. Harishchandra Pitale. There was a gentleman by name Harishchandra Pitale in Mumbai. He had a son who suffered from epilepsy. He tried many allopathic and Ayurvedic physicians, but there was no cure. They reminded only one way of remedy, restoring the saints. It has been started in chapter 15, that Dasganu by the inimitable and splendid Kirtans spread the fame of Sai Baba in the Mumbai presidency. Mr. Pitale had some of his Kirtans in 1910 and learned from the Kirtans and others that Baba was his touch and mere glance cured many incurable diseases. Then a desire arose in his mind to see Sai Baba. Making all preparations and taking offers from fruit baskets, Mr. Pitale came to Shirdi with the wife and children. He then went to masjid with him prostrated before Baba and placed his sick son at Baba's feet. No sooner did Baba see the child than an untoward thing happened. The son immediately revolved his eyes and fell down senseless. His mouth began to throw foam and his whole body began to perspire profusely, and it seemed as it has been breathing his last. Seeing this, the parents became very nervous and upset. The boy used to get such fits very often, but this fit seemed to persist long. Tears began to flow ceaselessly from the mother's eyes, and she began to wait that her condition was like that a person who, being afraid of the robbers, ran into a house which collapsed on him, or like a cow-fearing tiger ran into the hands of a butcher, or like a traveler who, being tormented by the heat of the sun, went to take refuge under a tree which fell upon him, or like a devout person going for worship into a temple which collapsed upon him. Baba comforted her, saying that do not wail like this. Wait a bit, have patience. Take the boy to your lodgings. He will come to the senses within half an hour. They did as directed by Baba and found that his words come true. As soon as he taken into the Vada, the boy recovered, and all the Pitale family and others were very happy, and all their doubts disappeared. Then Mr. Pitale went to his wife to see Sai Baba and prostrated himself before him very humbly and respectfully, and sat shampooing his legs and mentally thanking Baba for his kind help. Baba then smilingly said, have not all your thoughts, doubts and apprehensions calmed down? Hari will protect him who has got faith or patience. Mr. Pitale was a rich and well-to-do gentleman. He distributed sweetmeats on a large scale and offered to Baba excellent fruits and pan. Mrs. Pitale was a very pious lady, simple, loving and faithful. She used to sit near the post, gazing at Baba with tears of joy flowing down from her eyes. Seeing her amicable and loving nature, Baba was much pleased with her. Like gods, saints are always dependent on their devotees, who surrender and worship them with their heart and soul. After parting some days in Baba's company, the Pitale family came to the masjid to take Baba's leave to depart. Baba gave them woody and blessings and called Mr. Pitale close to him and said, Bapu, I had given rupees 2 before now. Now I give rupees 3. Keep these in your shrine for worship and you will be benefited. Mr. Pitale prayed for his blessings. A thought was arose his mind that as with the first visit to Shirdi, he could not understand what Baba meant. When he said that he had given rupees 2 previously, he was curious to have the mystery solved. Baba kept silent. When Mr. Pitale returned to Mumbai, he narrated to his old mother all that happened at Shirdi and the mystery about Baba's giving 2 rupees earlier. The mother also did not understand the mystery, but thinking seriously about this, she was reminded of an old incident which solved the mystery. She said to her son, as you now went to Sai Baba with your son, so had your father done when he took to Akkalkot for the darshan of the Maharaj there many years ago. That Maharaj was also a Siddha, perfect yogi, omniscient and gracious. Your father was devout and his worship was accepted. He then gave your father 2 for being kept in shrine and worshipped. Your father worshipped them till his death, but thereafter the worship was neglected and the rupees were lost. After some years, the memory of these 2 rupees also disappeared, and now, as you are very fortunate, the Akkalkot Maharaj was appeared to you in the form of Sai Baba, just to remind you of your duties and worship toward all dangers. Now beware henceforth, leave all the doubts and bad thoughts, follow your ancestors and go on worshipping the family gods and the rupees, and take pride in the blessings of the saints. Sai Samartha has kindly revived the spirit of bhakti in you. Cultivate it to your benefit. Hearing the remarks of the mother, Mr. Pitale was very much delighted. He came to know and he was convinced about all the pervasives of Baba and the significance of his darshan. Then onwards he became very careful about his conduct. Mr. Ambadekar, Mr. Gopal Narayan Ambadekar of Pune was a devotee of Baba. He served for 10 years in the Abkari department in Thana district. and in Jawar state. From where he had to retire, he tried to get some other job. He did not succeed. He was overtaken by other calamities and his conditions grew very bad and worse. He passed 7 years in this condition, visiting to Shirdi every year and placing his grievance before Baba. In 1916, the plight became worse and decided to commit suicide in Shirdi. So he came there with his wife and stayed at 2 months. One night, while sitting a bullock cart in front of Dikshit of Vada, he resolved to end his life by throwing himself into a well close by. But Baba wished to do something else. A few paces from his place, there was a hotel, and in his proprietor Sagun, a devotee of Baba, came out and accosted him thus, "Did you ever read Akkalkot Maharaj's life?" Ambadekar took his book from Sagun and began to read it casually. Or we may say Providently became a cross story which was to his effect. During the lifetime of Akkalkot Maharaj, a certain devotee suffered very much from an incurable disease, and when he could no longer endure the agony and pain, he became desperate, and in order to end his miseries, threw himself one night into a well. Immediately the Maharaj came there and took him out in his own hands and advised him thus, "You must bear the fruit, good or bad, of your past actions. If it is incomplete, suicide won't help you. You have to take another birth and suffer again. So instead of killing yourself, why not suffer for some time and finish up the fruit of your past deeds and done with once and for all." Reading this appropriate and timely story, Ambadekar was much surprised and moved. Had he not got Baba's hint through the story, he would have been no more. On seeing Baba's all-pervasiveness and benevolence, his faith in him was confirmed and became a stanch devotee. His father was a devotee of Akkalkot Maharaj, and Sai Baba wanted him to walk in his father's footsteps and continue his devotion to him. He then got Sai Baba's blessings and his prospects began to improve. He studied astrology and gained proficiency in it, and there improved his lot. He was able to earn sufficient money and pass his latter life in ease and comfort. Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all.